as we see that arrow formation be the best in the world, despite coming from a very small place just above the Rift Valley in Kenya. As we see our first 5 kilometer split, the significance of that.
Well, so they went through the first 5 kilometers in 14:14. I think they were aiming for 14:10. And the significance of that is that in the last, 400 meters since they went through that split, the pace has picked back up again, and they've actually jumped up on the projected time from 2 hours and 8 to 1:59:56. And as much as we can say, yeah, look how calm and focused Eliud Kipchogi is in there, you can absolutely bet he's the one who went up, guys, up, because he wants to hit those splits. And although he looks really calm and really focused, like he's not thinking of anything, everything will be going over in his mind, because that's the way he runs, the way he analyzes all the information that comes to him in the race and processes that.
The intention from training was
you know, he's a little different from the other two. His first running really was on the roads. He ran some track and field at a very young age, but he immediately went to the roads, and as Paula said, went to the marathon at a very young age for the outstanding performance to start. So the other two, Eliud Kipchogi, really burst on the scene in 2003 when he won the World Championships in the 5,000 meters, beating 2 legendary athletes, Hisham El Garouj, who won that event, the 5,000 in the Olympics the next year, and Kenenisa Bekele, who's many consider one of the greatest distance runners of all time. And this 18-year-old, more or less unknown junior athlete came out and beat both of them, and that announced the arrival of Kipchogi.
So just a quick word on the pace there. We can see that they've gone through the 10-kilometer mark in 28:21. So they're actually up on the schedule now. They've flipped from a little bit behind at the first 5 kilometers to ahead of schedule now. And you can see the paces there just in the next group just slotting back in. And we're now back to the original group. So they had, 27 minutes or so of recovery. And we're back with the first 3 pacer groups slotting in very well there. And that produces extra oxygen into the air as well. So the fact that they have the trees, the fact that it even rained a tiny little bit when they were warming up. Haile Gebrselassie always used to say that he would have the track watered, and he liked it to rain a little bit before he would go out for a world record attempt, because he felt that produced a little bit more oxygen into the atmosphere, and he could just run that tiny little bit better.
And when we talk about the fact that we're trying to shave off just under 3 minutes here to break this barrier, it really puts it in perspective, and we see that this pace, put in the context what it's like at this pace, staying this driven. I just had to put that into perspective. But he said something very interesting about that 2 years and looking forward and what you need to have on that day, as you see Lalisa here.
I thought Carl said something really smart. He said that a lot more can happen in 2 hours than can happen in 10 seconds.
Here's Lalisa and his training on this road. Maybe, not really, but that buy-in that you talked about, Paula, with Lalisa's own words about the science and technology to say, hey, after this experience, yeah, possible.
Yeah, and it's that buy-in, that faith in the team. And I had to smile a little bit there on the clip when Andy's there. Come on, Elisa, this is the best yet. He says that every time. But what he's basically doing is building up the confidence. And that's key, to be told by the people who know, by the scientists, you know what, you're in amazing shape. You can absolutely go out there and do this. And there's no scientific reason why you can't. It's really up to you. Is the best feeling to get coming into it, and these guys will feed off that confidence, and you come through it, and you know you can come through it and come out the other side. But it's keeping that focus through the difficult spots that he's going through right now.
How do you avoid finding yourself in a panic when you get to that rough spot?
It's experience, I guess, and it's faith. Like I say, that you can get through it, but it's very hard. I mean, what's going through his mind right now is, oh my God, I can't stay on this. I can't stay with that pace, and that is the goal that I've been working to, let's face it, for a couple of years coming into this. That's where I need to be, and I'm falling back. And that panic is really dangerous, because it can paralyze your breathing, paralyze your muscles, and he's really, really struggling.
And, you know, you mentioned that you have bad patches and you come back from them, but knowing a lot of times what runners are able to do in marathons is come back because the pace slows down and lets them back in the race. We see this on the track sometimes. The pace is not going to slow down, and he knows it. It's relentless. It's going to continue. And that's going to make it very difficult for him to get back. So at this point, he not only has to run that pace, he has to run faster than they're running to get back into it. They will give him pacers at some point to try to help him, but it's going to be very, very difficult. Mo Farah, four-time gold medalist in the Olympic Games, says that this is the guy he fears the most. Wow.
Yeah, I think his potential is, it's really there, and it's really tangible. And to be able to have this opportunity now to get his fueling strategy right and to find out, because it's without question he is the best half marathoner probably that there's ever been on this planet, but certainly that we have right now. And it's that unique question of, yeah, as much as the science can say and as much as they can say you're built for the marathon, it's a unique beast. And sometimes you can get it right, and sometimes you just can never quite make that step up. And it's that fascination, I think, for me, that is so interesting.
And it looks to me, Paula, that Zersine has had a couple of hard moments in this last lap. He drifted back one time, and you could say, well, maybe it was because they were going to change the pacers and he wanted to give them the room that you talked about. Then he drifted back again, and now he just seems to be having trouble holding on. Obviously, he's not getting the benefit of the pacers at this point.
We see Kipchogi. He is looking strong. Again, of the 8 marathons that he has run, he has won 7. And we'll have a look at his training process over the course of this last couple of years. You see he is the lone of the 3. It almost looks like he's running with a security detail at 13 miles an hour. And to see the manner in which Desisa and Tadesse have dropped off, it really puts in the context. These are the best runners in the world, and this pace has gotten the best of both of them, and they've been training specifically for this moment for 2 years. This man, Eliud Kipchoge, is about that life. Look at the focus, the determination in his face, but there's also, maybe it's just me, that there seems to be an ease despite what he's under.
Yeah, I mean, he is the master at keeping as much of his body relaxed as possible, and that sounds like a bit of an oxymoron. How can you be relaxed when I need all my muscles to be firing at the right time? But all of his facial muscles, there's zero effort going on there, zero wastage of energy. He's very efficient in the parts of his body that he can really kind of turn off, and focusing on the parts that need to be functioning. A quick update on the pace. They went through the 25 kilometers in 1 hour 11:03, which is projected marginally now under that 2-hour barrier.
Now we see at the 30K, he's just a second over the desired pace, still projected to run the 2-hour marathon, which is incredible, as Ed says, that he's still holding this pace. And there was a lot of chatter in the running world over the last several months about whether this was possible, and people were giving different sorts of percentage guesses. I think there's even a betting line in London on this. And you know, you were so deeply involved in this whole notion of 2 hours over the last several years, writing your book. Tell me about this moment now. You were putting in a little bit of perspective. Did you vision this as the way it would play out? Because he's trying this. You know, in some ways, the easier decision might have been to go to London again, where I felt, and I'm sure you were there last year, I felt that he was surprised when he saw how close he was to the record. Had he known what pace he was on, he would have been able to break the record, the world record in London, as we see him at 30K. One of the amazing things of his races in London, particularly his first victory, is he was running paces about what he needs to run today in the 25th and 26th miles.
Yeah, this is the area where the physical challenges of the marathon become unique. So even though we're a little bit chilly standing here, he's probably heating up. He's an engine. He's an engine running hot. His fuel, even though he's been drinking every few kilometers, his fuel stores are running low. and his leg muscles are getting damaged. And this is one of the factors where maybe the shoes are going to help him avoid some of that damage. But mentally too, I mean, if you play a video game for 2 hours, you'll be exhausted. These guys are trying to, or Elliot at this point in particular, is trying to keep his finger in that candle flame for a very long time. Yeah, he's been very trusting in the process. He throughout, you know, any of the details you ask him, he says, look, I know what my job is, and I know what their job is, and I'll do my job.
With under 20 minutes or so to go to possibly witness history, what would this mean for running in the world, this moment?
Yeah, I think we're gonna find that out when it happens, because there's so much. I think there's been very few people who really believed it would happen, and here we are 20 minutes out, and it's within range. And I think people are going to be processing it for a long time, trying to understand what just happened, if it does in fact happen, and how does that translate into other major marathons? Will there be learnings from this that they can take and say, you know what? We're going to start having an arrowhead pacing formation, or we're going to change our start time, or we're going to take something from this to try and go faster.
This incredible pace, and we are on the brink of history in seeing this 2-hour mark broken, the fastest marathon ever run. Mr. Hutchinson, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we will too be celebrating with you shortly, and we will throw it down to Kevin Hart.
So from my perspective, in general, he has just looked in that zen flow of state. I have seen a little bit of wincing. I couldn't tell if it was smiling, but I think it was a little bit of wincing, unfortunately. His body language, though, from the start, and even now, even just falling off just a little bit, his body language is that of just having still a lot of control.
Now to 1 lap to go, as to whether history can be made, and this is where it's really important to talk about the fact that in the London Marathon he's run sub 440 miles in the last 2 miles, because that's what he's facing now, is having to deliver those kind of performances as he comes up to this last lap.
And you could hear the cheers from those remaining pacers there at the tent. They were screaming at the top of their lungs for him.
Everyone here is very invested, and especially these men pacing, these athletes, they feel as much a part of it as anyone. They're very much invested. They want to say that they helped this effort today and have dreams come true.
I have those butterflies.
For sure.
My skin is starting to stand up, and I can feel it all throughout my body as we are knocking on the door of history here in our last lap.
But reality is setting in. He's now at 2 hours 19 seconds expected time, and he's going to have to deliver an Eliud Kipchogi kind of finish. He has been a finisher in his career, whether it was his track career where he won that sort of groundbreaking 5,000-meter victory at the World Championships as an 18-year-old, showing incredible speed at the finish, or his marathon victories where he always finishes with a flourish. He always has something back, but something left. But imagine the strain at this point, having gotten this far and having less than 2.4 kilometers to go. What he's got to rally and pull together. He's expressed his love for the marathon, and he says that marathon is life. It's a big journey every time you run it. And he says you feel a lot of pain, but you think a lot of things to get past that pain. He'll see the finish line from quite a distance when he comes around the turn, and that's when his natural tendency to finish will come into play. I don't know if there's enough room left to make up what is the distance that he'll have to make up, and now he's about 27 seconds over the projected finish time or the goal of 2 hours. But when he looks up and sees the finish, you have to think that there'll be a spring in his step.
When we arrived here this morning, it was in the hopes of witnessing what was